to. But, I mean, you agree the globalists are getting routed all over the world. They're being exposed. Nationalism's rising. The globalist attempt to invade even more with radical Islam to accelerate that, I think finally even triggered good elements of the deep state to realize that this was make it or break it. And now the attempts to put everybody back under their control, I think, are going to backfire, Matt Bracken. So what else do you expect to happen as this war goes into overdrive and as Trump throws down the gauntlet?
Well, what we see on the outside is probably days or weeks after it's really happening on the inside. You know, we sort of see the shadow of the pendulum moving. But today we saw Bruce Orr get fired at DOJ. Like you said, they're taking out the Obama stay-behinds. And some of these guys, no doubt, are going to be left in place, having flipped. And now they're going to be rounding up, and this is a message to these guys, what I'm saying. Now the ones that, the stay-behinds that have flipped are now going to be collecting evidence against the more diehard coup plotters. You know, this is a bureaucratic Operation Valkyrie, and we're now seeing the end stages. It's fabulous watching history unfold. What Jim Jordan said this morning, I'm sure he didn't say it without cause, that Strzok, who's the guy who protected Hillary and then went after Trump, if he was the Fusion GPS dirty dossier man who used that to get a FISA warrant, this now is something that is going to be beyond Watergate. And it could be used for a real clean sweep and purge, which is going to take some doing because they've been hiring social justice warriors for 10 years. You know, there's an entire cadre, an entire generation of federal employees that are basically Marxists. So it's going to be a continuing battle to find these guys and isolate them. But it's hopeful finally. I mean, the plot is coming apart. There's no doubt about that.
We're going to have that Jim Jordan clip coming up in the next segment. We have some more guests that are experts on this joining us. But this is an epic time to be alive. And by the way, when the Secret Service called me, it wasn't like, oh, Alex, give us your help, when they're really investigating me. This was serious. This came from D.C., and they're like looking at criminal investigations. They are looking at the plot. They said, what else do you have? And they're ready to go talk to folks in Congress who've had the Democrats come and canvass them that, hey, we're taking your boss out. You want to work with us? I mean, they've really pushed it. And I think Trump's strong enough to not just leave them in the shadows now after they're defeated. They need to be fully routed. They need to all be arrested. And I think that's going to end up happening. I think now they don't want them to know that, so they act even more violently. But I think we've passed the point of no return here, Matt.
Yeah, and that's why Trump very wisely did not fire Mueller. Firing Mueller, which would be his constitutional right, would have just played to the Democrats, led to calls for impeachment and so forth. Now watch for Mueller to begin backpedaling and saying, well, I'm winding up the investigation, basically meaning, please let me get out of town without handcuffs on. And if you need to arrest somebody as the leader of Operation Valkyrie, it's that guy Comey, the leaker. You know, I made that coup trap meme months ago with the four corners being Comey, Mueller, Rosenstein, and McCabe. And yesterday I added Strzok and Weissman. But these are the ringleaders, and the whole world knows it. The whole world knows it.
And they're working for the Clinton Foundation. They're all getting money from it. Uranium One. I mean, these guys are bold. I'll give them that, Matt. They are bold.
Mueller has to watch out because he was on duty during the Uranium One himself.
Oh, yeah, he ended the investigation of the FBI. All right.
$145 million.
Absolutely. EnemiesForeignAndDomestic.com. Matt Bracken, always amazing. Thank you, sir. Biblical? What do you mean by biblical? I mean wrath of God type stuff. Fire and brimstone. The dead rising from the graves. Cats and dogs living together. Quote Ghostbusters. Or to paraphrase it, this is serious. Giant record fires all over California, Southern California. Satellite photos are just incredible. The Santa Ana winds blasting in at hurricane force. The police and firefighters completely exhausted. Pray for those folks. The whole FBI, Democrat, fake investigation imploding. Again, I saw the canary in the coal mines. Democrats, even on CNN, MSNBC, distancing themselves from Comey and Hillary and all these resignations that are happening. Don't you think Glenn Beck and all the neocons and the Weekly Standard people and all the rest of them that thought that they could be never Trumpers and stop this revolution to restore the republic, Don't you think they feel dumb now? Decimating their audiences, turning their audiences off, and missing out on being on the right side of history. I don't want to be too confident right now, but even if they kill Trump, it's going to blow up in their face. And even if they do this whole phony indictment still, I hope they go ahead with it, quite frankly. I don't think Roger Stone is right at this point. I don't think Trump should fire Comey. Now Stone had the idea first to create another special counsel to investigate Comey and investigate Mueller, fire Mueller. Same thing, same person, basically, same institution. His idea of having a special counsel is now being picked up. I saw it on Fox News this morning on 2 different shows. So it's now definitely happening, and the recovery of the United States could actually happen. Doesn't mean we're out of the woods. Doesn't mean everything's perfect. But it is a very, very exciting time to be alive. Now, I want to get to more of the Senator Grassley speech that he gave last night on the Senate. It was very, very powerful. We're going to go to part 2 of that in a moment. Grassley outlines political bias of FBI officials. And Grassley is impeccably bipartisan. And he realizes the will of the people's turned against this. Folks really see through the witch hunt now. And that's why you see the usual suspects acting super confident, going, he will go to prison. The noose is around his neck. Everyone associated with Trump will be in prison for life. He is insane. He is evil. He is Hitler. These are all quotes from Obama and Morning Sloppy Joe and Brzezinski's dropping and all of it. He's a big news creature. She's a big news. Brzezinski's leavings, excuse me. That's her name. So you've got all of this happening. And it's just an incredible time to be alive because the people are awake. The people are awake, not just here, but all over the world. They're waking up more. It's a great time of renewal happening. There's going to be fits and pains and probably bad stuff happening, but an awake population is 50 times better than one that isn't awake. Now, briefly, before I get to this Grassley clip, we have a new product that I know is going to end up being our #1 bestseller. I know it is because I've taken it in the last month, and quite frankly, I can't even hardly handle it myself. It is so incredibly strong. It's alpha power. It increases physical and mental energy, boosts sports performance, helps reduce fatigue. Alpha power. And the ingredients in it are just heads above the best. We can say this is the most powerful formula in the class that it is out there. It's amazing. Stamina, libido, sports performance, brain, cholesterol. You can say that gives you, works on that and makes that healthy. I mean, it's just crazy how amazing alpha power is. We also have our colloidal silver fortified and iodine fortified fluoride-free super blue toothpaste for children and adults, both types, both bubblegum flavor and peppermint, 50% off, along with the mouthwash 50% off. And we also have 50% off vitamin mineral fusion with amino acids, fruit punch drink, great for yourself, great for children, great way to absorb more of the multivitamins and minerals in that fruit punch. So those are the sales. They're huge. 50% off, InfoWarsLife.com, InfoWarsStore.com. Sign up for auto, ship an additional 10% off, and those products at 50% off are loss leaders. And Alpha Power is 50% off out of the gates. It's a very expensive formula, the amount of product we put in it. Leading competitors, ladies and gentlemen, sell something similar but watered down for more than we do, and ours is 50 times stronger. That's the LJ100. Alone is off the charts. Find out about what it is, InfoWarsLife.com. Thank you all for your support. Let's start getting to more of the Grassley here, as I promised to do. This is Senator Grassley, Republican, getting into outlining political bias of FBI officials. And I've got clips of the new FBI director incoming, getting into some things. Jim Jordan pushes FBI on ties between Peter Strzok and Trump surveillance and the PP-Gate dossier that's now coming out they did. And they have another high-level Justice Department official just step down completely, not to stop the investigation for being Clinton operatives. So here's more of Senator Grassley.
It is interesting that before he was fired, FBI Director Comey lectured our Judiciary Committee and lectured the public about how the men and women of the FBI, quote, don't give a rip about politics, end of quote. I believe that for most of the hard-working, rank and file FBI agents, that is absolutely true. Their jobs normally don't involve controversial political questions, and their own political views aren't relevant because they are professionals. But no human is perfect, and no organization is immune from error. It does no good for the leaders of the FBI to pretend that its senior management is above all reproach, that they would never show any improper political bias and would never make mistakes. The only way to protect against bias or misconduct is to recognize it exists and to confront it, not to hide it from Congress and the American people. The law and the facts,
this is going to blow up in
whatever
their
they
face,
are, should guide the work of the FBI and the Justice Department.
You're all going to
If
jail.
politics infected the department's decisions during a hotly contested national political campaign, we would have to look at it. That is true whether it occurred in the Clinton case or in the Trump-Russia case, or if it included both. Anyone claiming to do bipartisan oversight of the executive branch has to examine both. Ignoring either half of this story simply won't be credible with the other half.
I love the fact they tried it. I love the fact they tried it.
Everyone thought Hillary Clinton was going to be president. Everyone.
Not me.
And the perception of a huge segment of the public is that the whole Washington establishment worked overtime to get her name cleared before the Democrat convention last summer.
That's right.
The FBI even called its case, quote unquote, mid-year exam. Director Comey testified that the former Attorney General refused to even name the FBI's work and investigation. That's how political it came.
And she went on the tarmac.
The Attorney General at that time insisting on calling it not an investigation, but quote unquote, a matter. M-A-T-T-E-R.
And that's the same operative.
That means. We've learned that Director Comey started drafting his exoneration statement long before the investigation was done. It looks like there was a rush to clear her. It looks like the fix was in.
Wow, let's stop right there.
I know.
I'm going to come back, but let's back that up about 20 seconds. I mean, they've got them, and more witnesses are coming forward, and they've got their communications now that they're under investigation, how they were rigging all this. They were so arrogant because this trash at the top of the FBI and the Justice Department has been there since the Clintons, and they just do whatever they want. Tarmac meetings that are illegal, Russian deals, Chinese generals in the White House, murdering people, you name it, with that big, arrogant, pumpkin-head Mueller up there like he's God. You're not a God, filth. Really exciting things. You got Senator Grassley up there on the floor of the Senate saying the public thinks the fix is in, and the public's angry with this whole fake FBI investigation. And now the Democratic pundits aren't just turning against Hillary, they're not just turning against Hollywood. The whole thing's falling apart, and they're saying, oh, it looks really bad. It's political. They did this to destroy Trump and get rid of the election. They were so arrogant, they've written articles about how they're going to get rid of Trump and then suspend the whole election and get rid of any Republicans that were elected, but leave Democrats in, and then have new elections with Homeland Security in charge, and Obama signed orders before he left, federalizing Homeland Security. I mean, these guys are obvious. And when you're awake, they're really obvious. I got a clip with Jim Jordan, pushes FBI on ties between Peter Strzok, however you pronounce his name, and Trump surveillance. We know the surveillance is being run by him. We know he did it with the PP dossier that's all fake. That's how they ran the fraud. That's how they got the illegal surveillance. That was the plan. They thought they'd find something because they were all in bed with the Russians. That's big money. They can't believe Trump isn't like you. He's not a sack of garbage like you. So let's go back to Senator Chuck Grassley, and then we'll go to Jim Jordan. Here is part of what he was saying.
We've learned that Director Comey started drafting his exoneration statement long before the investigation was done. It looks like there was a rush to clear her. It looks like the fix was in. I know Democrats don't want to hear that. They only want to talk about Trump. There is a double standard here in the way that they desperately want to go after the president, but ignore all other potential wrongdoing in the previous administration. It stinks to high heaven. But Democrats have visions of impeachment dancing in their heads. Rather than reserve judgment and carefully examine the facts, all of the facts, they're jumping to all sorts of conclusions. The Judiciary Committee has an obligation to do both a deep dive into the firing of James Comey and both of the two controversial political investigations that preceded it. Unfortunately, the Democrats are preventing any truly bipartisan path forward. They appear to be assuming the conclusion at the outset. They complain publicly and they complain privately that I'm not doing enough to investigate obstruction. But obstruction of justice is a legal term of art. It is a conclusion, not evidence.
That's right.
That is not how I conduct my investigation.
Exactly.
I do not make my conclusions first and try to shoehorn the facts to fit my conclusions. I try to get the facts and then go where those facts lead.
Hit pause real quick. People keep asking why we're so accurate and how we know stuff other people don't know and how we predict things that are like 95% accurate. Because I don't get up here and predict things because I want to make it true like Oprah Winfrey and The Secret. I don't believe in that. I go off of history, research, and being immersed in this to then tell you where I think things are going. That's why we're so accurate. It's why our government listens. Other governments listen. I mean, get tomorrow's news today. Get next year's news today at INFOWARS.com. And that's exactly what Grassley's saying here. Trump's Mr. Americana. He never built jack in Russia. There's nothing there. Let's continue.
Consider examples of where investigations have uncovered facts that point to, quote unquote, obstruction. Bill Clinton and Richard Nixon both lied to investigators. That is obstruction. And that behavior got one of them impeached and forced the other to resign. We also recently learned that Hillary Clinton's lawyers used a program called BleachBit to delete 33,000 emails under subpoena by the House of Representatives.
That's open and shut obstruction.
Now, those government records, and they are government records, can never be recovered. Those facts certainly look like obstruction, but we don't have all the facts here yet. So far, I've seen no credible evidence that President Trump has told anyone to lie. I also have seen no credible evidence that he or his aides have destroyed records being sought by investigators. Many people firmly believe that the president fired the FBI director in order to improperly halt an investigation of Lieutenant General Flynn. Now, I'm not only willing, but I'm eager to delve deeply into all the circumstances surrounding Director Comey's removal. But to claim at the outset that his removal was obstruction of justice puts the cart before the horse.
And then you can't ever have a real investigation because you just botched it. It's a mistrial. And then you got the transcripts of doing U.S. interest on the phone, so there's no crime to have obstruction to begin with. It's baloney. Beyond baloney. I wanted to say bravo, Sierra. Here's Jim Jordan, the congressman, pushes FBI on ties between Peter Strzok and the Trump surveillance. And they already know all this. They just are letting them put the noose around their neck and act like they don't know. This is really shameful. The FBI just needs to come clean on Democratic operatives that penetrated them, or the FBI is going to be finished. You're going to change your name. And I'm not just saying that. You got to come clean now and get rid of these people, or it's just you're going to be politically mud. Like, you know, your name is Mud. Like Mud's great-great-grandpa helping kill Kennedy. I mean, helping kill Lincoln. And your name's Mud. And then still today you want to kill the president. Here, let's go. Or says he's going to be killed. He's running around free. We're going to kill him. We're going to kill him. I'm the former head of counterterrorism that did stuff like that. We're going to kill him soon. Well, here comes the Secret Service, bro. So let's go to the congressman.
I mean, there are all kinds of people on Mueller's team who are pro-Clinton. There's been all kinds of stories. PolitiFact reported 96% of the top lawyers' contributions went to Clinton or Obama. But Peter Strzok, the guy who ran the Clinton investigation, interviewed Mills, Abedin, interviewed Secretary Clinton, changed gross negligence a crime to the term extreme carelessness, who ran the Russian investigation, who interviewed Mike Flynn, gets put on Mueller's team, and then he gets kicked off for a text message that's anti-Trump. If he kicked everybody off Mueller's team who was anti-Trump, I don't think there'd be anybody left.
Bingo.
So here there's got to be something more here.
It's for optics.
It can't just be some text messages that show a pro-Clinton, anti-Trump bias.
No, he made up the
There's got to be something more. And I'm trying to figure out what it is.
Pee-pee.
But my hunch is it has something to do with the dossier.
Pee-pee, pee-pee.
Director did. Peter Strzok.
Hit pause. We're going to come back. This is too powerful. And literally, that's what's happening. It's like a Geiger counter. As you get closer to the radiation, he goes beep, beep, beep. When you get close, it goes beep, 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 beep. You know, BuzzFeed, all of it. A criminal operation to lie and defraud the voters of America by this criminal cabal. They're all filth. I got to tell you, Trump is delivering. Even CNN has the big articles saying he's following all his promises or trying to get the others done. And they say that's a bad thing. That you're not supposed to keep promises. Meanwhile, Obama compares him to Hitler and says he'll commit genocide, clearly trying to get an assassination going. The Secret Service is investigating Democratic operatives and others for their statements. They've told me they are investigating under the direction of the president from D.C. Secret Service I talked to were pretty amazed, but you know, the point is we are pointing all this out, and I'm surprised other people haven't collated it all together or made a big deal. But mainstream media made mistakes with my quotes all over the news last week because the Secret Service took notice and went and said, yeah, we didn't even know about some of those clips on the news. Because it's big official people in public saying it, like Mudd and others, and Brennan and Clapper. So folks are really arrogant out there pushing this whole narrative. Now, Max Kaiser is a hard man to get on, but he just landed in New York from wherever he's been globetrotting. He's one of the first people to promote cryptocurrencies and to promote Bitcoin. And I wish to heaven, what was it, 5-6 years ago when he told me you got to get on a Bitcoin, that I'd listen to this man. I've never gotten into it because I'm busy in news and information. I own no stocks. I just, that's not what I do. I'm just here with news and info. Because if I got into stocks and stuff, I'd get obsessed with it. Whatever I work on, I get obsessed with. I've got everything about it. You know, I start watching sports. That's all I do. I mean, that's why I can't watch sports. It's just news in my family. That's it. But man, cryptocurrency market now worth more than J.P. Morgan, $370 billion and growing exponentially. And I know it's real because it's at least something citizens have versus what the globalists have, which is their own fiat money, but then they just get to use it. So central banks move on over. I thought they'd shut it down, but I guess they just couldn't stop it. But Bitcoin has gained 4,000 in just 2 days, 16,000 per Bitcoin. If I'd have bought Bitcoin back when I first learned about it, when nobody knew about it, it was just first hearing about Max Kaiser. I mean, I could have invested $100,000 and I'd have $50 million. I mean, break this down for us. This is just astonishing. CNBC, it's now the biggest thing in the world. Just cryptocurrencies alone is bigger than J.P. Morgan. What in the world is going on, Max Kaiser?
How's it going?
Good, my friend. I mean, I know you're in the airport, but wow, you told, I first heard about Bitcoin from you. Give me the history. How many years ago was that?
Yeah, it was $3 a coin back then, and we suggested that this could do the work that our Crash JP Morgan Buy Silver campaign was trying to do, and that is to decapitalize the big banks.
Oh, I forgot. Word for word, you said it was to get bigger than them. You are like a prophet.
Yeah, pretty much, because We needed a way to introduce money that they couldn't control and they couldn't manipulate, and Bitcoin is that money. Now they're all scrambling to get involved, and the price is going to go a lot higher. And this is the currency of the revolution. This is the currency of the global insurrection against banker occupation. Bitcoin is the real thing, Alex.
I know it's real. I just, if I couldn't 100% guarantee it was safe, I couldn't. I agreed. Get it, listeners, if you think. I had you on. I've been a promoter of it, just saying, look out, because, you know, I thought they'd shoot down the lead elephant. They haven't. It looks like they're going to capitulate to it. And like you said, it may become the new global currency.
Well, they will capitulate to it. As far as it being a global currency, that's a loaded term.
I don't mean politically with globalists running it. I mean the people's global currency will be cryptocurrencies in general.
The people's currency is definitely going to be cryptocurrency, and the fiat money world is collapsing. There's about $300 trillion worth of debt in the world, and all of that debt is going to collapse. It's already collapsing. Fiat money is collapsing. What's beautiful about Bitcoin right now is there's a couple of concepts I want to tell you about. One is called hyper-Bitcoinization, and the other is called the Bitcoin black hole. So the Bitcoin black hole is when Bitcoin sucks in all the other fiat money from all the other exchanges and different fiat money and different currencies. We see that happening right now. And then hyper-Bitcoinization is when Bitcoin becomes a unit of account. So everything at your store is priced in Bitcoin. People are paid in Bitcoin. People's savings are in Bitcoin. It becomes the de facto currency, the go-to currency. That's what people want. There's an old law in economics called Thayer's Law, and it's talking about good money pushing out bad. And we're seeing that happen on an epic global scale right now. Good money is pushing out the bad fiat money, and anyone who owns it, everything that they buy constantly goes down in price because it's highly deflationary. The amount of supply goes down by 50% every 4 years, whereas in the fiat money world, the supply increases dramatically every month.
And what you say is key. What you say is key because all the old global currencies have got bad mortgages and scams and derivatives infecting them and are all connected to bad assets when Bitcoin is just people's confidence and its basic technology. It is the next level. So it's better than the old fiat currency because that's what I kind of saw it as, just a new fiat. And it's being proven so, but not just Bitcoin. I know you've created some other cryptocurrencies, not just been one of the main launchers of Bitcoin. So let's expand on that, where you think it's going, and then who will be dominant in the new cryptocurrency system, and can the empire strike back? Can they try to shut it down? I think it's too late.
Well, the idea of Bitcoin being something that is outside of regulation and people are trying to regulate it and it's not regulated is false. Bitcoin is regulated by the Bitcoin protocol. It's regulated by software.
That's what I meant. That's its value, is that it's self-regulating.
It is. There's a core development team that is maintaining the Bitcoin network. Then you have the miners. Then you have the merchants. Then you have the people who are buying and holding, or hodling as it's called. And all these things work together in a very beautiful symmetry to create a parallel economy. That's
okay, 6 months ago, I was sold on it finally, late to the game. I asked you to come to Austin. You said, oh, yes, I'll be there in 3 weeks to help me invest, help the audience. And then you're just too powerful. You won't come.
Well, it's just, the best thing you can do is just buy Bitcoin and wait. Just buy it and hold. That's
I know, but I don't know who to get it from or what to do. And then some Bitcoin and others just got not raided. They just had hackers steal $65 million. I want to know, if I'm going to get into it, Kaiser, I need to talk to one of the Bitcoin wizards.
Look, there's a couple of misinformation out there. Let me tell you, if you want to buy Bitcoin right now, they're going to Coinbase.
As I'm asking you, where do I buy the Bitcoin?
At Coinbase.com.
Okay, I believe you.
Okay, now as far as the problems that you're talking about, the exchanges where people trade Bitcoin, they are occasionally hacked, and they occasionally have problems. But that has nothing to do with the Bitcoin protocol itself, the core value of Bitcoin.
I got it. It's not the currency itself. It's the money that people have made off of it.
Get to Wall Street. Wall Street. Okay. Yeah. I'm heading to Wall Street right now. I'm on Wall Street. There's the police have cordoned off a big block here. I'm giving you breaking news, Alex. I'm on Wall Street. There's a police action going on, some kind of demonstration. I don't know what the heck's going on, but I'm trying to make my way across the street here. But anyway, continue, please.
No, you're the wizard. You're the guy that was dead on like a prophet, like you had a time machine. How many years ago was that? Like 4 or 5 years ago?
In 2011.
That's what my memory serves. 5.5 years ago. Okay, well, you already got my attention, Max. You really got my attention now.
Well, if you put even $200 or $300 back at Bitcoin at that time, it would be worth almost $2 million today.
Oh, my God. You told me, you said, and you told me in London again 4 years ago, you said, Alex, at dinner, and we hung out for days. I'm like, shut up about Bitcoin, Max.
Well,
I wish you'd have punched me in the nose.
Listen to this. You know, I was living in London. I gave Russell Brand 1,000 Bitcoin as a gift when it was still in the $2 or $3 range. I don't know what he did with it. I think he lost it, but it's now worth $18 million.
Jesus. You gave him $18 million. I wish you'd have given that to me.
I gave away so many Bitcoin during those days. When it was trading for $1, I'd say, here.
I remember you even tried to give me some. You said, here.
Yeah.
Let's get on your computer. I'm like,
I think I gave George Galloway a free coin. I tried to give you free coin. I've given away probably 2,000 or 3,000 coins during the early years.
I feel this is one of the few things I regret in my life because I don't worship money, but missing it and not being able to fund the operation. Stay there. I know you're walking around on Wall Street. We're going to come back a few more minutes. I know you got to go to a meeting. But, Max, please come to town so you get your proper coronation as the first guy to launch Bitcoin. Because I follow the news. You're the first guy I ever heard about it from. And I know you've done quite well with it yourself. I don't know how much you've got, but wow. All right, folks. Max Keiser's walking around on Wall Street about to go on an important meeting. Just landed an hour and a half ago there in New York. I'm trying to get him on via Skype the next few days. We're going to fly down here to Austin because, look, I know about financial markets. I study things. But if I invest in them, then I get obsessed with it. I did this about 15 years ago. I did some investing. I did pretty good at it. But then I want to know everything about it, and it just takes over my time. I want to be focused on news. But Bitcoin, he said, it's going to be revolutionary. It'll be bigger than J.P. Morgan. It's going to take over. And it just all came true. And I remember him trying to give me Bitcoin. I remember him giving Russell Brand Bitcoin, even though it had already gone up. So I just sit back and think about how revolutionary this is against the globalists. They may still pull something. There's a bunch of other ones. We have guests on about other ones. They go up 24% in one day, the one that McAfee was pushing here. And so I see everybody, even on my own show, promoting it and exploding. And I'm like, wow, this could really help finance the operation against the globalists. And I know Eric Prince is invested in it. A lot of other bigwigs think it's the future, but not just Bitcoin. It was the first. Tell us, Max Keiser, what else is coming, what other good ones are. What you expect. We've seen crashes, but it only gets bigger after. I mean, why does it seem invincible in the 6 years since its birth? We just lost him on the cell phone. Max Keiser drives me crazy. He calls up, wants me to go to like Brazil with him to make a film or go to London. And then I want to give him about politics. And he goes, I want to talk about Bitcoin. I want to talk about crashing J.P. Morgan. And so he said he'd be on with us, and now he's gone. We call him back. I love that when I'm like, let's go to the Congresswoman now. It's like, it's like the Millennium Falcon when, oh, watch this. We're going to hyperspace. Nothing happens. Anyways, I just don't want to be part of a tulip hysteria. What was that, 500 years ago? Did he think I wasn't going back to him? You got to let him know we're going back to him. They had that thing, going on in Europe when it started like in the Netherlands, and they were exchanging tulips as money, and then it went up in like a month, millions of times, and then it all plunged. So that's why I made the decision 5-6 years ago. Hell, it was more than 5 years ago. He was promoting, use it like silver to crash J.P. Morgan 5 years ago. It was longer than that. When it was 5 years ago, he predicted it would become bigger than J.P. Morgan. And then it was a year or so before that, I guess the whole thing got launched, and he's been intimately involved with the folks that have been involved in it from the very, very beginning. This is very intriguing. So I'm now extremely intrigued by this. He did get surrounded by police and was in the middle of some type of demonstration, so maybe something happened to him because he knew he was still on, right? Okay. Well, then his cell phone died or something. Well, let's just stay on him, and I want him on tomorrow. Wow, that was amazing. The biggest thing we can invest in is freedom. And the biggest thing we can invest in is getting politically involved and being informed and having a passion, purpose-driven life. And Americana and Libertà and libertarianism and the Renaissance and the Enlightenment is what creates incredible freedom. The problem is you got to challenge your children. You got to challenge yourself. You got to challenge your husband. You got to challenge your wife, because once we produce all this success and wealth, we tend to get decadent, and then corruption sets in. And so that's the paradox. But since I mentioned it, imagine how much money, because he got it on the ground floor. He was giving away thousands of Bitcoins all the time. Tried to give me some, and he was like, give me the laptop. And I remember in London, we're at dinner, and he's like, laptop. Your laptop's not. And he's like, yeah, I'm trying out. He's trying to give me the, I remembered that now. Just like he gave Russell Brand $18 million worth. And the word is Russell Brand doesn't even know what he did with it. I'm kind of the same way. I mean, I can be technical. If I need to be, I'll learn how something works. But there's so much stuff, I'm not technical. I can be technical, I'm not technical. So it's kind of like, what? Fairy dust over here? But that's how all the money is. It's all fiat. By the way, I want to keep cash and gold around and silver around, just like land or just like patents or ideas. It has value. And again, the real problem with the Bitcoin, from my research, is that it's people holding them online at the exchanges that get hacked and they get stolen. You've got to have them hardwired outside the web. You've got to have it, what's the term they use in intelligence, shuttered or cut off. You've got to have it on a hard drive. You've got to have it on a memory stick. Cold storage that is not plugged into anything. And hackers can even get into like hard drives that have these capacitors in them, so the government can energize them with waves and then turn on a capacitor that has enough power to then transmit it onto the phone lines or digital lines, or even power lines can be used to oscillate power chips. See, I say I'm not technical, but then I know all the spying stuff. I just read the spying stuff and don't really get all the technicals, but I just know how it works. They have chips in all the major products that they can remotely, even if you're in cold storage or not plugged into the internet, they can then power up the chips that have transmission capacitors that then, I guess they're transceivers, they receive and transmit, built into your computer, just like black boxes in your car that can tax you by the mile that all cars have now. And then suddenly, oh, all cars are self-driving. They all have the computer program in your car. You're paying for that. But then only the luxury cars first come out with it. Then all the idiots with, Audis and Mercedes or whatever next year pay extra for the self-driving software when really it's already on board all the new cars coming out for years. So I say I'm not technical. I'm super technical in the generality of what they're doing and how their grid all works and how it all interconnects, but not from an engineer perspective, just reading the white papers on how the whole Internet of Things and the whole panopticonic system works. So I am going to, I get busy. And again, I get busy and I mean to research Bitcoin and I mean to get involved in it. I mean to study the other cryptocurrencies. And then I just don't want to steer you wrong. And because I'm too busy covering plots to kill the president and the fake Russia investigation and, stuff they're trying to do to shut me down, I just can't get a handle on it properly to then tell you what I think everybody should do. Not that you're listening to me. I just don't want to talk about it. I don't have the answers. But then I see Kaiser, who's been like so dead on. I just go, okay, I'm ready to just believe this guy knows what he's talking about because he's proven he does. Hell, his whole silver program brought silver up with this show and others. Our show is a big part of it. This broadcast to $50 an ounce or whatever. That really screwed up J.P. Morgan. Then they sold it and did a bunch of naked shorting and crap. And the power of this audience, I don't have power. Individually, I have great power, but I'm not the big, powerful guy. It's us. And it's every color and every creed, one race, red blood, oscillating in the universe with our little brains as antennas to God and our hearts and souls. It's amazing. They've proven the gut, the heart, and the brain have magnetized cells in them that they thought were about electrochemical communication with nerves, but they're more than that. They found that they're actually receivers. That's like they receive the sun's broadcast, the moon when the sun's on it. This is mainline science. Migratory birds have it, but no animals they've tested have any time close to the magnetized cells that humans have. We've got, and I don't understand it all. I'm just saying we're amazing, folks. We're picking up broadcasts. We have a sixth sense. Walk through the woods for an hour. All of a sudden, you feel somebody looking at you. You look up, there's a deer stand 500 yards away and a guy looking at you. I mean, we've all experienced it. And this is just a magical world we're in deep space with incredible things going on. We're all meant to experience each other in this beyond simulation that God created. It's real, but it's a simulation of God. It's a simulation in the 3D, in the third dimension, with our minds connecting all the way up to the 12th dimension. And it's just amazing. to be part of this with all of you. I'm going to come back and hit a few other video clips I haven't got to. This amazing Jim Jordan, congressman, pushes FBI on ties between Peter Strzok and Trump. I'm going to just air the whole thing in the next segment. Just briefly, it's ending in the next few days. We're selling out of DNA Force, 33% off. We've got the toothpaste that's fortified with colloidal silver and iodine, fluoride-free, super blue for adults and children, and the mouthwash, 50% off. That's huge. Vitamin Mineral Fusion, Alpha Power, out of the gates, 50% off. Introductory specials. I want you to see how great it is. This heads above is 50 times stronger than the leading competitors out there. I mean, we can even make claims on this baby. Increases physical and mental energy, boosts sports performance, reduces fatigue during the day, helps you sleep better at night, helps the cholesterol levels. You can read all this at InfoWarsLife.com or 888-253-3139. Again, and it makes a great Christmas gift. Why fight the crowds? Why fight all the garbage? Why not just go to InfoWarsStore.com? It's the big umbrella site. InfoWarsLife.com takes you right to the supplements. Why not just go there and get your Brain Force and get your Real Red Pill and get your Alpha Power? And they're all different for different people. They'll all knock your socks off, okay? But depending on your physiology, your metabolic system, it's going to affect you different. InfoWarsLife.com or 888-253-3139. The return of the Republic, the return of America, the return of humanity being awake, not sleeping. They said it couldn't happen. They said it was the thing that should not be, because with stranger eons,